is okay with everybody, I think we might go ahead and get started. If you haven't seen the news or anything in the last about 45 minutes, hour or so, two of the candidates have decided not to join us tonight. We will proceed as normal, as scheduled. The rules and the format might look a little bit different with only one of the candidates being here, but that's okay. So with that, I would like to welcome everyone to the candidate forum tonight. My name is Alex Baldwin. I own a State Farm agency here in Fayetteville and also serve on the Fayetteville Chamber Board of Directors, and I will be your moderator this evening. On behalf of the Fayetteville Chamber, we'd like to thank our sponsors, AT&T and Black Hills Energy, and welcome Mayor Jordan to the forum here tonight. Before we hear from Mayor Jordan, I do want to give a brief history of the Chamber and talk about the format and the rules a little bit. Before we do that, though, I would like to take a second and recognize Mr. Taylor Shelton. Taylor is the Director of Government Affairs and Sustainability for the Chamber, and he was really one of the biggest people that was responsible for organizing this event, coordinating with the candidates, coordinating with the media, and all the details that went into pulling off the candidate forums this year. So Taylor, thank you very much, man, for all your hard work. You've done a great job. History of the Chamber. So founded in 1889, the Fayetteville Chamber of Commerce has been providing excellent service and building our community for 127 years. At nearly 1,200 members, the Fayetteville Chamber is one of the largest chambers in the state of Arkansas, with members ranging from single owner, home-based businesses to large-scale employers such as the University of Arkansas. Earning a 5-star accreditation from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, the Fayetteville Chamber is recognized as a top performer based off several metrics of best business practices, ranking our chamber as one of the tops in the United States. The Fayetteville Chamber's mission is to serve as the leader and advocate for our members to promote a strong business climate and facilitate positive community interaction for continued economic development and enhanced quality of life for all residents. The purpose of these candidate forums is to open a dialogue between the political candidates running for office and the voters of Fayetteville. We believe by providing the opportunity for candidates to share their vision for the future of Fayetteville, we will help the community become more informed and involved voters. The format tonight, we're going to try and keep it similar to what it's always been. The forum will last approximately 1 hour. Mayor Jordan will give a 3-minute opening and a 3-minute closing statement. He'll have 2 minutes to respond. Roughly, we're doing 2 or 3 tonight. 3 minutes, so he'll have 3 minutes to respond to each question. There will be no rebuttal after the responses. Let's see, what else can I skip through here? Let's see. Mr. Taylor Shelton will be our timekeeper tonight to assure that each candidate does not exceed his 3 minutes allowed for responses. A little bit about the rules. Only candidates may respond to the question. The audience is not allowed to interrupt the response, boo, or cause any distraction for the rest of the audience or for the candidate. Please direct and frame your question in a way that all 3 candidates can respond. Let's see. When questions are opened up to the audience, each attendee may ask one question until each member of the audience has asked his or her question, or there are no more questions from anyone else. So please go ahead and silence your cell phones. We'd like to let everybody give everybody an opportunity to ask a question that would like to. So if you've already asked a question, you got your hand up, and I don't point to you automatically, it's because someone else is giving other people a chance to ask a question. So with that, Mayor Jordan, you can go ahead and start with your opening statements this evening.
Well, good evening, everyone. Good evening. It's wonderful to see everybody tonight. I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce for inviting myself here tonight. I want to talk a little bit about, I just want to tell you all the story about what's occurred in the last 8 years in this city. When I took office in 2009 and I became the mayor of this city, here's the condition I found the city in. We're in the worst recession since the Depression. The budget we passed for 2009 could not be met. The first 22 months that I was in office, the sales tax, which is about 65% of what we base our budget on, was a negative 4%. We didn't have an economic plan, and we needed a stronger emphasis on our infrastructure. And that was then. But this is now. The recession is over, and we did that without cutting any services to you and without laying off any staff in this city. Our sales tax is averaging a positive 5% right now, which is a 9% swing. And I've brought 7 balanced budgets to this city since I've been in office. We've had 2 economic plans. One was Federal Forward, where about 500 citizens began to give us input and direction on the way they wanted to see the city move forward. That was our old economic plan. There's 19 points, and we completed 18 of those by 2014, and it has been replaced now in 2016 by Federal First. We believe to pull ourselves out of this recession, we needed to build infrastructure. We have proceeded to build $83 million worth of infrastructure in this city, roads, trails, and sidewalks. And according to the last numbers by the Chamber of Commerce I got last week, our economic engine is moving forward. We're averaging a new business a day coming into this city, and we've had over 1,339 new jobs this year. So what's the future? We're going to continue to pay off the debt. We've taken it from 144 down to 92. We plan on trying to get that paid off by 2019. At that point in time, we will go back to you, the people, with a list of infrastructure needs that you see in this city to the tune of $100 to $120 million. Some of the things we're going to finish our park. We're going to finish the box. That's the road, the 4-lane boulevarded road all the way around the city. We're going to continue to promote alternative transportation, our roads, our trails, our sidewalks. We're going to invest in our police, fire, and other department needs. We're going to continue to protect our environment and add to our urban forest and green space. We're going to build our economic engine by continuing to partner with the University of Arkansas, the Chamber of Commerce, Startup Junkie, and Federal Public Schools. I look forward to sharing this vision with you tonight, and I look forward to your questions and your input. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Jordan. So I'll ask the first question tonight and get it started, and then open it up to the audience for your questions. So Mayor Jordan, this will give you a chance to kind of expand a little bit more on your opening statement, but tell us a little bit more about why you are choosing to run for re-election.
Well, you know, somebody asked me that question the other day. Some folks think I'm getting maybe a little old, or I've been in office too long. Now, I'm going to tell you something. When you ask somebody what they work at, let's just say they're an engineer, or an architect, or a lawyer, and you ask them, are you good at what you do? And they said, well, sure I am. Would you like to leave your job after 8 years? And one individual said, no, because I'm good at what I do. I'm good at what I do. I don't need to leave this office in 8 years. I have the vision, the strength, the power, the energy, the character to drive this city forward and onward. And we're going to take this city from being where it is today further and farther than it's ever been before. And that's going to be because you're going to help me do that. That's why I'm not leaving. Still got the energy. Just keep up with me one day. Come with me one day, particularly at Saturday. Sorry, I'll be a little better.
No, thank you. Yeah, so with that, we'll open it up for questions. Yes, sir.
Attending the candidate forums over the last few weeks, there's really been 2 different Fayettevilles that have been emerging. Your opponents are on record sort of painting a picture of a city with high taxes and with burdensome regulations that stifle business and development. Excuse me. Can you give us your assessment of this, this current state of the city? You know, what is working, and also what needs work?
Well, let me tell you about the state of the city. Right now, we're the fastest growing population in Arkansas, so somebody's moving here. As I said, we do good money management. We've had 7 balanced budgets in a row. Our sales tax revenue is up 5.25 or $1.1 million over what it was in 2015. We were talking about businesses. All the businesses are going up north. Everything's leaving. Everything's falling apart. Well, let me tell you something. We wouldn't be averaging a business a day if everything was falling apart and all the businesses was headed north. And our sales taxes, in our building permits, do you know that right now we're on course to do a record amount, the most we've done in 12 years, so somebody's building here. And if our building permit revenue, we estimated that would be about $1 million for all of 2016. We hit that the first 6 months. So somebody's building here and somebody's living here. Right now, here's some of the recognition we received. We're the third best place to live in the United States, according to U.S. News and World Report. We're number one top best affordable places to live, according to U.S. News and World Report. The best city, check this out, the best city to found a company outside the Silicon Valley and New York, that's by DataFox. We're the best city for working students and the best college town in the nation and the SEC, according to livability.com. We're the winner of the Green Energy Conservation Initiatives from Arkansas Business. We're a silver bicycle friendly community, the only one in the state of Arkansas. We have a National Water Utility of the Future Today Award. That's a national award, a Tree City USA, and our volunteer programs. We have a population probably around 80,000 now. We had 746,000 hours of volunteer work in this city alone. So I ask you, what kind of state do you think this city is in right now? What other questions do we have? Sorry.
Next question. Yes, ma'am.
Mary, you may not know the answer to this question, but I just wondered if somebody, perhaps from the audience, may know why the other two candidates, if there are representatives from the other two candidates, why they didn't show up.
Well, I don't believe I have an answer.
Yeah,
I did well to run
that's
my
what
own
I
campaign.
said. That's what I said. You may not know the
I
answer
do not know
to
the
that
answer.
question,
You
but
have
I
stumped
thought
me.
maybe somebody out here might know the answer to the question.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for your question. Next question. Yes, ma'am.
I've been kind of trying to do my homework on the recycling issues, I guess I said, that Fayetteville is looking at. And I lived for 11 years in Connecticut, and there was a mandatory recycling program there, and we would once a week put our recyclings in a bin and take them to a recycling drop-off center. And most everyone in the state complied. There were point-of-purchase deposits on containers and such, so that you would pay for the containers you were purchasing, and then you could go redeem them for the money for the deposit, at the after use. And it was a very successful program, and there was a large percentage of compliance. And here, I was pleased that Fayetteville had a recycling program, and it seems like having the recyclables separated according to the types of materials is the best way to do recycling, because it ensures that the glass or the cardboard or paper for the manufacturers on the end of the receiving end would get the best raw material.
Cleanest product.
So I'm just wondering, when we have one of the best programs as far as curb sort is concerned, why is there such an interest in going to single stream? And I understand converting the recycling center is like a $3 million project. Would that money go better to just educating the public and have more of the public go understand the value of curb sorting and separating our recyclables? I'm just wondering, if that money could be spent toward education rather than going to something that will have less recyclables being purchased by manufacturers.
Okay, this is something that the city council passed, a diversion rate, and I see some of my city council members here, of about 80%, which I think is going to be relatively difficult to hit. I'll just be honest with you. Now, I'm an old recycler, and I go out every Sunday afternoon, and I recycle all my stuff, and it takes me about 15 minutes. And I remember, I don't know if anybody remembers the purple bags that have been here long enough. Nobody. But anyway, you know, we did something similar to that back in the early 90s, and we decided to go with what we have right now. Now, I think the diversion rate will go up with single stream. I do. The studies show that. And some of the studies we've looked at, but also your contamination rate goes up as well. Now, right now, we're taking public input on I think it starts this week, I believe, on what the people are thinking about single stream versus curbside, what we're doing right now. And we'll get all that information together. I think it's going to go back to the council sometime probably latter part of November, early December, somewhere along in there. And then we'll make the best decision we know how to make there. And council's very thoughtful, but I'm an old recycler, and I do curbside, and so I think that will be a decision that the council will look at and make the best decision they know how to make, and it will. But right now we're gathering the information, and the council wanted to do a plan, so a study and a plan, and we're doing a study and a plan, and there's nothing wrong with that. We just take all the information, gather it, make the best decision we know how to make. All right.
Thank
I
you.
hope that answers your
I
question.
apologize for the long
Well,
lead up to
and
it, but there needed to be some background.
Thank you.
But right now, Dot, I mean, we're gathering the information, we'll know more about it.
Yes, yes, sir.
Probably next 6 people, thank you.
Great. Next question? Yes.
I'm a lifelong resident of Fayetteville. My grandfather was mayor back in the 30s, but I want to congratulate you on fixing the eyesore on the south side of the old Mountain Inn building. It's been drafted for years. And I want to know, is that your eye in the owl?
Well, I'll let the newspapers weigh in on that, I think that's
Next question. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mayor, first of all, thank you for being here. And thank you again for back in 2012, you helped us bring the individual World Poetry Slam to Fayetteville.
Yeah.
And that was an amazing project.
It was.
And you are constantly involved in the local creative economy around here, and I'd like to thank you for that. But it's also not a secret that around here we have an issue with creative brain drain. A lot of musicians, a lot of poets, a lot of artists reach a point where they feel like Fayetteville can no longer give them the business that they need to stay here, whether it's that the venues aren't large enough or that there's just not enough business coming through. And so either they do business elsewhere and come back here when they want to come home, or they move off to cities that are more responsive to that. So I'd like to know if you feel like the city government has a vested interest in helping out with that, and what you think the general business is of the government and creative economy here.
I think as now that we've got our economic development plan, we're just really getting it in place, and that's part of the economic development plan to support the arts in this city. But I sat on the United States Conference of Mayors Arts and Parks Board. So we talk a lot about this, and we know that what they have discovered in their city is that it is the third largest economic driver in their cities. And so the arts community is an economic driver for this city, and they need to be certainly supported, and I support the arts in this city. I go to a lot of events, and you know, we were looking at, you know, we've done arts along the trail, and you know, the arts in the park, and I know that you do the poetry slam, and I love that. But I'm a proponent of the arts because I sit on the national committee. I think that part of this economic plan, we need to include the arts community in our economic plan to move it forward because it's a driving force. So I hope that answers your question, because we're going to be looking at those sort of things as we go on down the road with this economic plan. Okay?
Thank
I'm
you.
supportive of what you're doing.
Thank you.
Thanks. Next question. Yes, ma'am.
This kind of goes back to the question about development. So several members of the community have expressed that there are potentially additional ordinances pertaining to development that may not be necessary, or that make the process of development more complicated or take longer than is necessary. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts on what do you feel are most important ordinances in this city related to development and why?
Well, I think that if you look at the latest, Jeremy Payton gave a great presentation, 3 weeks ago? Dell, do you remember 3 weeks ago or so? And he talked about the development process. And he said 90% of the time that when plans are submitted, they can be building within 10 days. And that's 90% of the time. I think that there are probably some things that we can do to make it a little easier. But I will tell you this, I believe in managed development. I don't believe in wide open, just anything goes, you can build anything you want. That's why, and that's why you keep stuff that's not proper. That's why you have zonings. And you can make it faster if you want to do away with your streamside protection and your hillside ordinances. You can make it a lot faster. But I think we're better than that, and I don't think that's what the citizens want in this city. And I will tell you this, in the survey we took, there was 1,600 that they asked their opinion on the development process. They felt like the development process, 70% of them thought the development process was good and that they didn't need to change anything. So I know what you hear, but I've also been sitting down at the table with developers for the last 4 years in this city and getting their input on how we can help with the process. Nobody wants to get hung up. But we also want to be sure that we develop, the federal way and stay true to our heritage and protect our green spaces. We've got to do that. We owe that to our children and our children's children. To answer your question.
Absolutely, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Over the past few weeks, I've come to each ward candidates forum, and the question has been asked each time, what's about the 2030 plan and the portion that each candidate is most interested in or most excited about. So, to be fair, what is your favorite part of Fayetteville's 2030 plan, and what are you most looking forward to implementing?
Well, I like the alternative transportation network, and I think when it's like when you build your roads and things like that. We've gone to putting medians and also we have gotten away from. We're trying to get away from planting grass along our medians and go back with our milkweed. I don't know if y'all are familiar with the milkweed program we got on here, but it saves on the maintenance of the roads and because you're not having to mow the grass every week, but it also takes care of the monarch butterfly, which we know is down to 10%, I believe, and Aubrey can tell you better than I can, but 90% of the monarch butterfly population is gone, and we need to preserve it and keep it. That's one thing that I like about that, is the type of plantings. Another thing, I like the trail system. Right now, we've built with our soft and our multi-surface trails about 22 miles of trails in the last 8 years. And it gets people out of the car and on the bike and walking. And the box, goes all the way around the city, which is 4-lane boulevarded road with a bike lane, 10 feet of green space, and 6-foot sidewalk on one side, multi-use trail on the other. And it goes up, we're trying to get it set up where it goes all the way around the city. We're going to drive as far as Mount Comfort. I need more time on that question. But I could go on and on and on with it. But, I believe that there's going to come a time where we got to be looking at alternative transportation measures, my friends. We're going to have to get off the coal. We're going to have to get off the gas because it's coming, and we got to be prepared for it. And that 2030 plan really addresses that. It gets into the sidewalks and it gets into the trails, and you can certainly build roads with it, but it's got the plantings and it's not only causes us to function well as far as mobility, but it makes it a beautiful city and it makes a healthier city. And that's what I love about that 2030 plan the most is all the new technology and the transportation. I'm really into transportation and mobility and walkability and and backing and things like that. I think it's the way of the future. Because there's gonna come a time that we're preparing now for what could happen. You see, this city's willing to do today, but other cities aren't doing it to have tomorrow the things that other cities won't have. We make that kind of sacrifice. And right now, it might be a little tough right now to make those kind of adjustments, but we need to do it. We need to be prepared for the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question. Yes, ma'am.
So my question's about the sign ordinance.
Yes.
In my opinion, our sign ordinance makes Fayetteville more beautiful than some of the cities to the north of us. I think it's a really important part. So my question is, how can we address things like signage that is outside of the ordinance on vehicles, like large trailers, or like large trucks parked at other businesses after the election has been won? Is there a way to address that?
Golly gee, boy, I'd like to get out of here tonight with that. The sign ordinance needs to be, it's the law. It's the ordinance. We put, we have a sign ordinance, so we don't have large signs, billboard signs in the city. Because, a lot of other cities have that, and it just looks like sign after sign after sign. And I was on, the sign ordinance has been passed a long time, but I certainly support it on the council. I support it now. I think that everybody just needs to go by the ordinance, and when they don't, then we write letters to them to have them obey the ordinance, which is, but I support the sign ordinance, and I always have, I always will. And I like it.
I like it
So,
too.
I do too. Anyway.
Thank you. Next question. Yes, sir.
The university recently published a report last year showing that there was 300 homeless students within the Fayetteville public school system.
Mhm.
And so I was just wondering if there's anything the city